Imagine having to wake up at 6 a.m. every single day, feeling exhausted before your day even starts. For most students, this isn't even imagination or fake, it's their reality. Early school start times leave students tired, exhausted, and less prepared for each lesson. Most importantly, losing their focus and affecting their level of academic importance. Today in this speech, I'm going to be going through some points, 3 points, in regards to this topic with 3 subpoints. This is going to focus on a range from explaining some problems, some significant problems caused with early school start times. The second point, arguing why school should have a later start time and discussing some specific benefits regarding that start time being later, like 8:30 or later in the day. And third, explaining those benefits in further detail and discussing some counterpoints and rebuttals in regards to some conflicting statements people might have or arguments against this topic. First, we're going to discuss some of those significant major problems caused by an early start time at school. Obviously, students not getting enough sleep is going to affect their physical health in regards to energy, focus, and just general being. It's going to affect their physical health. They're going to be tired, they're going to be moody or groggy throughout the day. This can lead to poor focus in the classroom. This can lead to a lower level of grades and overall just decreased academic ability overall, which is not what we want. This can also lead to tired students being more likely to be stressed, be irritable, and less engaged in the classroom. So not only are you seeing this later start time affect their physical health, but it's starting to affect their mental health as well, and then obviously leading to a decrease in academic ability. Now that we've kind of discussed the problem and some major downfalls of this, we're going to discuss some benefits to an earlier start time and why we should switch to that. So as a point blank statement, I'd like to say that schools should start later in the morning. I think 8:30 is a good base for this time. Anything later than that, maybe around 8 o'clock, as opposed to an earlier start time, maybe like, which would be like 6 or 7 o'clock. I think this can be beneficial in many ways. First off, school starting later in the morning, we'll get to see students get the level of sleep they need and improve their overall physical health. This will help them be more energetic, be more lively, and you won't see any of those negative physical habits that they might have. Second, later start times are going to help students improve in their academic sense. Them being well rested, you're going to see them perform higher, academically. They're going to be better education-wise, and in the classroom, they're going to be a lot more focused and on point. Third, improved sleep, like I said, is going to affect their physical health and their academic health, but also their mental health. So you're going to see a better mood, better, behavioral patterns is a large thing that can get better and increase, and reduce stress because of higher academic performance. A lot of times in classroom can help. Now that we've discussed some of those major points of a later start time that can benefit students and like teachers and stuff and people in the classroom, we're going to discuss some rebuttals or some points people might have against this topic of a later start time and how it can be beneficial. Now, first off, there are some people out there who may argue a later start time can interfere with after school activities, things like sports, clubs, after school programs for younger children. And while this could be true to an extent, there is a way that schedules can be adjusted After school programs can be adjusted into the school program. Student health overall, as opposed to academics, should come first. Their physical and mental well-being should come first, as opposed to these after-school programs. And that's a large reason why I think this could be better as opposed to an earlier start time. Something else, conflicting statements might say, is that schools starting with later time could affect the parents' work schedule, since sometimes in regards to younger children, a student's transportation to school, primary form of transportation might be the parent. And if you're changing that schedule, if you're mixing things up, it might be a little bit troublesome for the parent. Now, this would be a problem if not for the fact that many schools in America have already made the change to a later start time and actually had this figured out. And most of the time, if it's a school system can help by giving the student access to transportation through a school bus. Otherwise, they can be changed to other school districts that can provide them transportation. Lastly, some may believe that the problem of a later start time falls on the student and might blame the student for not sleeping enough or not getting enough sleep. Falling asleep too late, not being well rested might be the student's problem. And while this might seem true at a first glance, it has actually been proven that teens and young children have an altered circadian rhythm as opposed to adults, where a later sleep is better for them as opposed to earlier. So going ahead and asking for them to make an early morning academic performance at a high level is just unrealistic, considering their physical body. Overall, in regards to all these points, I'd like you to consider the main three in regards to early school and the problems that starting early can have on students, and these major effects on their physical health, their mental health, and most importantly, their academic performance. Secondly, consider why school should start later and the benefits that it can have on these subjects. And lastly, consider why a later start time can improve a student's well-being in general as a human. If I were to leave you with any final statements, I would tell you that students succeeding, if we really want them to succeed, we should stop forcing them to learn while they're half asleep and give them the full opportunity that they deserve. Thank you. And that's all.
All right.
Yeah.